Playing Among Us with Prosopagnosia, where identifying crew members is crucial, and watching how people with face blindness adapt to the game's social deduction mechanics. Prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness, affects 2 to 3% of the global population, impacting social interactions. In games like Among Us, identifying players by their appearance is crucial, but face blindness makes it challenging. People with prosopagnosia often rely on non-facial cues like clothing, voice, and behavior to recognize others. To adapt, players with face blindness use strategies like memorizing player positions, actions, and chat behavior. Despite difficulties, some players with prosopagnosia develop exceptional skills in other areas, like spatial awareness and game mechanics. In 1922, a family of 6 disappeared from a remote farm in Germany, leaving behind a gruesome discovery and speculation about their fate. The Hinterkaifeck farm was a remote, rural farm in Bavaria, Germany, isolated from nearby villages. In 1922, the Gruber family of 6 mysteriously disappeared, leaving their farm abandoned and untouched. A search party found the family's belongings, including money and valuables, still intact inside the farmhouse. A gruesome discovery was made. Animal cadavers and human remains were found mutilated in a barn nearby. The case remains unsolved, fueling speculation about a possible serial killer or occult ritual gone wrong. The Hinterkaifeck farm was eventually abandoned, and its dark history has become a legendary German mystery. Uncover the harrowing tale of the USS Indianapolis, a U.S. Navy cruiser torpedoed and sunk by a Japanese submarine in 1945, leaving nearly 900 crew members stranded in shark-infested waters. The USS Indianapolis was a U.S. Navy cruiser that played a crucial role in the Allied victory in World War II. In July 1945, the Indianapolis was torpedoed and sunk by a Japanese submarine while en route to the Philippines. Of the nearly 1,200 crew members on board, approximately 900 survived the initial sinking, only to face a new horror. Stranded in shark-infested waters, the survivors waited for rescue, with many succumbing to drowning, dehydration, and shark attacks. The USS Indianapolis was not reported missing for 4 days, and a rescue operation was not launched until 5 days after the sinking. Learn about Usain Bolt's iconic pre-race pose and how it became a symbol of his dominance on the track, helping him win multiple Olympic gold medals. Usain Bolt's iconic pose is inspired by his childhood nickname, Lightning Bolt. Bolt first debuted the pose at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, winning 3 gold medals. The pose is a combination of confidence, focus, and a hint of arrogance, according to Bolt. Bolt's pose has been imitated by fans and athletes worldwide, becoming a cultural phenomenon. The pose is also a key part of Bolt's pre-race ritual, helping him prepare mentally for competition. Bolt's dominance on the track, punctuated by his iconic pose, earned him 8 Olympic gold medals. Uncover the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, where over 14 million civilians rely on aid, and meet people like Fatima, a mother of 5, who struggles to provide for her family amidst the ongoing conflict. Yemen is home to the world's worst humanitarian crisis, according to the UN. Over 14 million civilians, half of Yemen's population, rely on aid to survive. The conflict has caused widespread famine, with 1 in 5 children acutely malnourished. Fatima, a mother of 5, is one of many struggling to provide for her family amidst the war. Yemen's economy has collapsed, leaving 70% of the population in extreme poverty. The war has displaced over 3.6 million people, with many forced to flee their homes repeatedly. Discover the Harvard Mark I, the first analog computer built in 1939 by IBM and Harvard University. The Harvard Mark I was the first large-scale electromechanical computer built in 1939. It was a collaborative project between IBM and Harvard University, led by Howard Aiken. This massive machine stood 8 feet tall, stretched 51 feet long, and weighed over 750 pounds. The Mark I used over 3,000 relays, 2,000 vacuum tubes, and 500 miles of wire to operate. It could perform calculations at a rate of 3 additions or subtractions per second. The Harvard Mark I played a significant role in World War II, calculating artillery firing tables, and more. Learn about the remarkable achievements of athletes like Hiroshi Hoketsu, who competed in dressage at the 2008 Beijing Olympics at 71 years old, and more record-breaking Olympians. The oldest Olympic competitor on record is Sweden's Oscar Swan, who shot in the 1920 Antwerp Olympics at 72 years old. Hiroshi Hoketsu became the oldest Olympian to compete in dressage at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, aged 71. Dara Torres is the oldest Olympic medalist in swimming, winning 3 silver medals at the 2008 Beijing Olympics at 41. The oldest Olympic gold medalist is Sweden's Oscar Swan, who won the 4x100m running deer single-shot team event in 1920. Swedish shooter Agnes Coletti won her first Olympic medal at 31 and her last at 42, a 12-year span. Meet Stephen Bradbury, the Australian speed skater who won gold in the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics after all his opponents crashed in the 1,000 meters event. Stephen Bradbury was a 29-year-old Australian speed skater at the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics. He was considered a dark horse, never having won a world championship or Olympic medal before. In the 1,000 meters event, Bradbury was in last place with only 50 meters to go. Then, in a shocking turn of events, all 4 leaders crashed into each other, opening the door for Bradbury. Bradbury crossed the finish line alone, becoming the first Australian to win Winter Olympic gold. His improbable victory made him an overnight sensation and a beloved Australian sports hero. From Woodstock to Coachella, we're counting down the most iconic music festivals in history. The first iconic music festival was Woodstock, held on a dairy farm in New York in 1969. Woodstock drew over 400,000 attendees and featured legendary acts like Jimi Hendrix and The Who. The Isle of Wight Festival in 1970 became a cultural phenomenon with 600,000 attendees and Jimi Hendrix's final performance. Coachella, launched in 1999, transformed into a global brand with a $114 million annual economic impact. Glastonbury Festival, started in 1970, grew from 1,500 attendees to a 200,000-strong music extravaganza. These iconic festivals paved the way for modern events, shaping music history and culture forever. Join experienced cave diver Steve Lewis as he explores the underwater world of the Blue Hole in Belize, navigating through narrow passages and overcoming the challenges of diving in a submerged cave system. Cave diving is considered one of the most dangerous and technically challenging forms of scuba diving. The Blue Hole in Belize is a famous underwater sinkhole, over 400 feet deep and 300 feet wide. Cave divers like Steve Lewis must navigate through narrow passages with limited visibility and no natural light. Specialized equipment and techniques are required to overcome obstacles and avoid getting lost in cave systems. The underwater cave system in Belize is home to unique formations like stalactites and stalagmites formed over thousands of years.